and welcome back to another cast by RJB, that's me, on RJB's Starcraft YouTube channel, and today I am doing a 2 versus 2 game on the request of J Flores. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. If I didn't, I'm very sorry. I'm absolutely very, very sorry. Anyway, having the introduction aside, this is a game between Flash, who's playing the blue Terran up here on the top side of the map, and he's partnered up with a Warrior, and I've discovered that this player is Jaehoon. So we've got Jaehoon partnered up with Flash, and they're playing against two of the best, fastest map players in Korea, BrainGod. And as you can see, he's a YouTuber and a streamer on Africa TV. And he's considered to be the best player for 1 versus 1, and perhaps for team games as well. And he's partnered up with Gensei, also known as Minchul, with Gensei Park. And he's playing the Protoss, so we've got ourselves a Protoss versus Terran against a Protoss versus Terran. And Flash is starting off with a very early barracks, a little bit of a delayed gas compared to BrainGod, who started his gas just a little bit earlier than Flash did, but not that much earlier. But both players starting off with a barracks gas, so that means they're going for factories right after, which is a very common build for Korean Terran on 2 versus 2, at least on this level of play, because their micro is so good, their control is so good, their awareness is so good, that it's basically just the best to go for a full-on heavy micro army control fight, a build that facilitates that, which is what they're doing. And the Protoss always seems to be going for a 3 gateway build. Both players are going for a 3 gateway build and a forge. There's no forge out for... Oh, there's a forge for Jaehoon. I'm sorry, my bad. He's got a pile there in the middle. That had me confused a little bit. There's the first factory coming out for Flash. He's already making Marines, making a bunker there in the front. BrainGod has chosen against making a bunker in the front, but he's sending his Marines there into the middle of the map. Gets spotted out by a Zealot. Microing away from that Zealot. There's also a factory on the way for him. Looks like the factory timing is about equal on both these players. BrainGod is about 2 or 3 seconds ahead of Flash there. But Flash does have more Marines. He's got a bunker there in the front, so he's protected. No danger of Gensei's units walking into his base. Like, this Zealot is walking here into BrainGod's base. He's got a little bit of harassment from that Zealot, but the Zealot has not killed anything as of yet. Gets bucked into that SCV. Smart clipping from BrainGod there, making sure his SCVs do not take any damage. Barrack has been lifted up. More Zealots are coming on the way. Zealots here on the top side of the map trying to abuse Flash a little bit, but there's a bunker there, so he gets zoned out of the base. No entrance for Gensei. Here BrainGod loses a probe. He's got an SCP. He's going to lose another SCP. Maybe, no, he's going to lose some of those Marines. He splits the Marines up. Avoids losing any of them whatsoever. Vulture comes out, which means now the Vulture micro is going to commence. Vulture will come out for Flash on the other side of the map. Gensei is trying to go for a counterattack on Jaehoon, but Jaehoon here is now attacking those SCVs, which means some downtime on the mining for BrainGod there. Good pickup. That means the very first advantage of the map has been built. And the advantage is now for Jaehoon and Flash. But here, Jaehoon is losing probes of his own against Gensei's Zealots. So Gensei went for a very good counterattack. Picks up at least 5 or so Zealots. 7 probes. He's picked up 7 probes on Jaehoon there. The difference is 7. And the difference between BrainGod's SCVs and Flash's SCVs is also on about the same number, 7 difference. So 7 probes lost, 7 SCVs lost for both BrainGod and Jaehoon, which more or less kind of equalizes the state of the game. Although Vultures out of the map are stronger than Zealots out of the map, because Vultures can pretty much just fight against Zealots without taking any damage whatsoever if the micro is executed really, really well. Barrack hanging there for vision to ensure that he can see whether Gensei is moving out of his base. This Barrack here is getting control over the middle of the map. He's getting vision there. Vultures moving out. These Vultures are keeping Gensei at bay, but there are no Dragoons out on the map. No Dragoons out for Jaehoon just yet. Jaehoon is falling behind a little bit on Gensei, thanks to that probe harass from Gensei. So Gensei does have more minerals, it has more gas as well. Dragoons for Jaehoon are on the way now, though. Singularity Charge is on the way for both players. Vulture Speed is on the way for Flash. Another factory is being built on the way as well. Looks like Flash and Jaehoon now have control over the map because they placed a lot of mines here, and it means that Gensei cannot leave his base. Gensei now going to have to wait for either an observatory. He's going to go for drops. He got two choices: go for drops or get an observer, so he can clean out this frontal part here. Barrack getting attacked. It's a little bit. BrainGod is using mines defensively instead of offensively. Maybe he's going to play some mines here in the entrance of Jaehoon, but Jaehoon is now going for the attack. A vulture went down, but he micros backwards very slowly. Another vulture goes down. Mines exploding, taking on a couple of zealots. And the state of the game is that BrainGod is now on 3 factories up against 5 factories from Flash, and Flash making a 6th factory even. Just throwing his depots around haphazardly because he just needs those depots to be placed down. Doesn't care where they are. It's going to hurt his SimCity if this game drags on in the later stages of the game. But these 2 vs 2 games don't really tend to go on for all that long. And here Flash is going for the attack. Vulture mines do not trigger on vultures. And Flash is successfully managing to push BrainGod back into his base. BrainGod now retreating back to the bunker. And Flash has a huge amount, big advantage over BrainGod here. And BrainGod is losing a lot of SCVs there. Now he's already 15 behind on Flash. Flash is absolutely tearing BrainGod apart here. Flash has lost a lot of vultures there, taking down his SCVs, pulls his SCVs vultures back, but more vultures are reinforcing and regrouping. Now he's placing mines inside the base of BrainGod. BrainGod now on 60 minerals. He's really hurting really badly here. Jaehoon has managed to catch up a little bit. The difference between Jaehoon and Gensei style is still the same as it was before. 6 or 7 in total. Gensei now landing dragoons here on the hill, so we can at least damage the barracks, maybe kill down the barracks, maybe kill these vultures there, but the dragoons here from Jaehoon are doing a great job of keeping those dragoons there at bay. And now Flash is still managing to contain BrainGod really well. BrainGod now has a tank out, has siege mode on the way as well. Jaehoon has started to build on more gateways. More gateways have gone down for Gensei as well. He's even making a starport there. And he's preparing for a Reaver drop. Looks like a Reaver drop. There is a Reaver somewhere here on the map, but I cannot see it. Oh, there's 2 Reavers inside of that shuttle. He's going for Jaehoon's minerals, but Jaehoon has already prepared a bunch of dragoons there on the side because he knows the drop was coming, because it was his only option, really, to still have an impact and influence on the map. BrainGod using his own marines to clear out these mines. And there is a drop from Gensei. The drop flies in. Drop gets targeted down, but 2 Reavers are out. Reaver gets a shot off. Kills about 4 probes in total, but the rest of the probes have been pulled away from the middle. So most of the probes have been secured. His income has been secured, but he's now 10 probes behind on Gensei. It means he killed 4 or 3 probes with that Reaver drop, which is probably one of the worst pickups possible, considering he had 2 Reavers in there. A lot of minerals expended there. BrainGod very slowly managing to make a comeback, tries to fly over a couple of vultures into the base of Jaehoon, but fails. Now he gets a tank there up on the hill though, so that is a great advantage that he's built himself. He's going to zone these dragoons away and make it easier for Gensei style to get those drops inside of the base of Jaehoon. Now Jaehoon going for the counterattack here, but there's mines still there inside of the chokehold. So he cannot advance deeper. He needs an observer. Observer has finished. Observer is now going to be flying over, but Observer is going to clear out the side here first. BrainGod has been very aggressive with these tanks, dropping them inside of his base. Now there's also a frontal attack happening, because now he's got an observer there to clear out all these mines, which means that BrainGod is now under a direct threat of Jaehoon's mass, and there's tanks coming in from Flash as well. Flash has a big base. There's a drop happening here on the side. Pretty much no SCVs have gone down there. The drop has successfully been shut down. If that drop had hit Flash and killed some of his SCVs, it could have been a comeback situation for Gensei and BrainGod, because after this wave here, they would not have been able to send reinforcement. This is an absolutely massive wave here, and there's only 2 tanks in the back there for BrainGod. BrainGod, can he hold this out? He's building a wall here to keep units away from hitting his tanks. But given that these dragoons have range, and given that these tanks have huge range as well, you can take down these factories and get access to these tanks there in the back. I think this is a GG here, because I don't see him making a comeback from this situation here. And even if this drop does land on Jaehoon, I don't think Gensei style can play a 1 vs 2 here. BrainGod is most definitely going to die to this attack. Gensei style played quite nice, but he didn't have that much of an impact, thanks to the awareness of Jaehoon and Flash managing to take down those drops and minimizing damage to a minimum. Although right here, right now, Jaehoon got hit by a massive pair of storms that took down all of his probes. He got 3 probes left on the map, which is pretty much just the probes that he had He had one probe out and one probe on his gas, so that's pretty much just 2 probes and one was in the Nexus. But right here, BrainGod has died, lost his command center, lost his SCVs. He's pretty much just died completely, and I assume he's going to call the GG if this drop here on the top side manages to fail, and it looks like it's going to fail because the Templar does come out, but the Templar gets taken down by those vultures. Great placement from those vultures from Flash, making sure that the Templar will not get a shot off. SCVs get secured, and 46 probes against 55 SCVs. BrainGod taps out, and he dies, and I think that's the first game is over here. It's all up to... Ooh, there's a tank drop flying in... Oh, it's empty. It was BrainGod's dropship. I was just gonna have to wait. Oh, Gensei doesn't call GG either. I mean, they were all on Discord anyway, most likely. So they called the GG on Discord. But BrainGod and Gensei style failed to get the leverage that Flash got over them. Like, it was mostly Flash gonna use leverage over... Jaehoon got a huge leverage at the start. Because when you play this style of Protoss Terran against Protoss Terran, the Terran that manages to keep most of their workers alive tends to dictate the game. As you could see here, Mines kept Gensei controlled, and then he went for a huge attack on BrainGod, and BrainGod couldn't handle it, lost most of his workers. Again, after he lost about 6 workers to Jaehoon's Zealots in the earlier phases of the game. But no, this is pretty hectic, pretty intense. And I'm gonna... This is like a series of 7 games or something, and I'm just gonna go through all of those games. But do keep in mind, they are rather short. But I hope you find them entertaining. So let's load up game number 2. And we're loading up into game number 2. Between none other than our very own Flash, who's now playing on the green Terran on the bottom corner of the map here. And he's partnered up with, let's see, oh, this time he's partnered up with Gensei. Alright, so they're switching around partners in this series. I think clockwise or whatever you want to call it. So now it's Flash and Gensei up against BrainGod. BrainGod again on the Terran, Jaehoon again on the Protoss. So I assume they're just going to swap around Protoss and Terran players around for this entire series. So I assume it's going to be back to Jaehoon and Flash in the next game. Flash starting out with a barrack pretty far away. Same for BrainGod. That's a rather interesting development that probably because it's easier to just send your Marines out in the middle of the map and maybe build a bunker somewhere. I think BrainGod is going to adapt his playstyle this time around and go for a bunker and a depot here at the front so he can keep Jaehoon out of his base. Because last time around he did take a lot of damage to his workers, and that's definitely not something he wants to repeat. He's even delaying his gas this time around. The last game it was Flash delaying his gas a little bit, but now it is Flash getting the gas up earlier than BrainGod. I wonder if that's going to work out in the advantage of BrainGod this time, because last time we saw that Flash had a little bit more minerals ready for his economy. Barracks are about to finish. Means you're gonna make those Marines start harassing or make bunkers on the middle of the map or somewhere on the map with those SCVs, and then fill them up with Marines. 3 gateways on the way for both Jaehoon and Gensei. Doing a little bit of probe harassment. And then the pink probe is just gonna run away and rendezvous once it finds Flash, I assume. Oh, it goes back in. And here, Gensei has found BrainGod's location. BrainGod is going to chase that probe around. It's pretty much just both players are trying to fish for something to do with those SCVs and the Marines. Building a bunker there inside of his entrance. And Flash has similar ideas of building a bunker there, but he's going to be spotted out. This time around, he retreats back to the bunker. Quick reaction time. Bunker finishes, loads them up, and the Zealot now redirects itself into the base of Jaehoon, where it's going to try to get some damage up on those probes. But the Zealot gets caught, almost, but it does manage to get through. Finds its way through, but is on low HP. Gets a single hit up on a probe, and kills a single probe there. Now a couple of Marines from Flash's base are on the way towards Jaehoon's base. Gonna try to get some damage down on those probes as well. Just keeping Jaehoon distracted there. There's already a cybernetics core coming out for Jaehoon. No forge this time around. There is a forge for Gensei and a cannon there as well. No cybernetics core for him. He's a little bit behind on Jaehoon in terms of gas because Jaehoon is already on 200 gas in total. I wonder what he's going for. He's going to go for... I'll just wait and see what he's going to go for. Factories have already come out for Flash. Factories have also come out for BrainGod. So we can be seeing our vultures up on the map very soon. There's the first vulture. There's the first vulture for Flash. And now the game is going to accelerate into a way more hectic state. And actually, Jaehoon is getting punished really hard. Not having that forge, not having that cannon up near his probes. Because he's already lost 5 probes. 6 probes. He's 6 probes behind on Gensei. So once again, he's losing his probes, but this time to the same player, really. And the fight here has started. Flash has taken down a couple of those probes there on the gas as well. So 11 probes. He's 10 probes behind. Which, in my opinion, already spells how this game is going to turn out. So all other players are on 21 workers. Jaehoon is on 12. Gensei is even 1 worker ahead of Flash and BrainGod. The fight is erupting here. Jaehoon is trying to deal some damage back to Gensei, but Gensei has the lead here. But these vultures are coming in handy, dealing some damage to those zealots. We're withering them down very, very slowly, but the fight is breaking down here as well. Jaehoon's Dragoons are doing a great job against those vultures. Vultures are not that strong against Dragoons. Takes down... I mean, this is Flash. So Jaehoon's Dragoons doing great deal of damage here inside of Flash's base, and his game might actually turn around here in favor of Jaehoon and BrainGod. So the Dragoon switch might be working out in his favor, because now he's getting a pretty good contain and surround on those vultures. Vultures might run themselves into a corner where they cannot escape. All the vultures will be going down. BrainGod now rolling in, gonna get free fire on those SCVs. All the vultures have pretty much gone down. All the vultures have now actually gone down. And now Jaehoon is hammering away on those workers. Barrack from BrainGod here hanging over the minerals. Which means that Flash cannot pull his SCVs off of his minerals. And Flash winds up dying after Gensei calls GG. So that means now it's a win for BrainGod and Jaehoon. And that's pretty much game number 2, which is a win for... Well, I'm not sure how you can tally the score here, because they're switching around partners in this series. So we can still call it 1-1. But I don't think the score is really all that relevant. So great comeback from Jaehoon there. I really thought that Jaehoon losing all those probes that early into the match was the indicator that they were going to lose. But a great timed attack with those Dragoons. Dragoons are really, really good against Vultures. And more or less are a hard counter to Vultures if the Terran player does not have Mine Upgrade just yet. And he didn't have Mine Upgrade. So he managed to attack before the mines came out. As you can see here, the mines were still being upgraded. Or maybe he already finished the upgrade. Oh, we can no longer see it. But there's no mine upgrade here up on the top side, so I assume he finished it. Nonetheless, exciting game number 2. And I'm going to load up into game number 3 now. Alright, game number 3 being loaded up. And I will admit, it's a little bit difficult to keep track of so much micro action happening pretty much right from the start. Like the moment these guys have units out, they're going for offensive moves, trying to harass and deal damage to the other players. And all this time it looks like Gensei and Flash are once again on the same team. Both Terrans have pretty much the same color, which is a little bit annoying. BrainGod is now here, playing the somewhat gray-blue. Flash is playing actual dark gray. Then we have Gensei on the whatever color this is, I'm not sure. And here this is cyan. Definitely has to be cyan for Jaehoon. Locations are, in my opinion, in favor of BrainGod and Jaehoon. Just because the distance between Flash and Gensei is so monumentally big that that Gensei here might be feeling some pressure from both BrainGod and Jaehoon. Whereas Flash wouldn't really be able to pressure either BrainGod or Jaehoon all that much, purely given the distance. Both players this time have their gas up at roughly the same time. Actually, it's like a second off for both players. Flash's was a little bit behind on BrainGod, so BrainGod will have his factory out a second earlier, but that doesn't really make much of a difference whatsoever. Both players once again scouting with that S. Oh, he's building a bunker in his front. Perhaps because the entrance is a little bit smaller than the corner spots, he can build a bunker there to keep Gensei's units out. Or so we assume. Again, 3 gateways for both players. Scouting the map, fishing and looking for where their opponents are located. There's a bunker coming out here for Flash inside of his choke, making sure to keep Jaehoon out. It also makes it harder for vultures to go in, because vultures pretty much deal no structural damage. So he can block vultures from running into the base by just building another depot here and then placing his units there, which does wall off enemy vultures from getting in. Vultures pretty much just very good against bio and zealots, and pretty much against nothing else. That is, if you have no mine upgrade. Once you have the mine upgrade, you can start containing people, as we've seen in the first game. Second game, we did not have the privilege of seeing that happen. Jaehoon once again going for the cybernetics core. And Gensei actually mirroring his build almost perfectly. Jaehoon is a little bit ahead of Gensei. The difference is quite small. But everyone is on about the same amount of workers, and here is the first fight about to erupt. Gensei's zealot is hunting for those probes. And it's actually managed to get in front of those zealots from Jaehoon. Jaehoon is not mirroring it. Jaehoon is not trying to go for counter harass. And a single probe there went down. I think a single... No, nothing went down. Or... Yeah, a single probe there went down for Jaehoon. So that means that Gensei has a small lead, but Gensei is going to lose this single zealot there, which somewhat equalizes the difference between these two players. He said one probe eventually in about 3-minute amount of... Ooh! Alright, so the bunker went down there. Again, Flash's bunker went down. Let me change the colors. Flash's bunker went down, BrainGod's bunker got up there, but didn't finish. Now it's vultures against vultures. BrainGod and Jaehoon win the middle fight, the first middle fight, but the second middle fight is about to commence. They have control of the middle of the map. Gensei being forced back to his own base. But Dragoons are on the way, and his Dragoons are out in the middle of the map before Jaehoon's Dragoons are out in the middle of the map, despite Jaehoon having his cybernetics core finished before Gensei did. But the fight, eventually, they do meet each other at about the same time. Macro fight commencing, but BrainGod's vultures are going to come in from behind and focus on those zealots, because those zealots take more damage from the Dragoons than those, from the vultures than those Dragoons do. Gensei pulling back to his base, he's got no forge, but Jaehoon and BrainGod are now turning on Flash. Flash's vultures being cut out in the middle of the map. He's gonna lose both those vultures. He decides against microing those vultures. Now he's gonna try. No, he decides against microing. He's just gonna try to get the most damage down with them. Mines are on the way. Oh, vulture speed is on the way. No mines are on the way. Vulture speed is on the way. Singularity charge almost finished for both players. More factors on the way for both Flash and Jaehoon. Flash has considerably bigger amount of factors on the way than BrainGod does. Well, actually, they both have the same amount. It just looks more, but it isn't. And so now Jaehoon going for the attack on Gensei. Fight erupts, but at the same time Flash is going for a counterattack on Jaehoon's workers. But Jaehoon has managed to wall off access to his probes really well. So that means Flash has to pull back, and the fight here on the other side of the map, inside of Gensei's base, is turning out in favor of Jaehoon. Jaehoon has managed to push Gensei back towards his own nexus. Now it has 5 Dragoons against 2 Dragoons in total. Forge is up there. Jaehoon, Gensei forced to pull his probes off of his minerals in order to push those Dragoons away. But it means that now Jaehoon has a unit advantage over Gensei, albeit a very small advantage, because Gensei still does have 2 more workers than Jaehoon does, and Flash here failing to really pick up an advantage with that vulture attack. Great job from those Dragoons. Oh, he manages to catch Jaehoon's sneak in between there and place mines inside of the entrance of Jaehoon's base. Which means that now Jaehoon's units are cut out in the middle of the map, and units inside of his base are unable to rendezvous with the Dragoons he has on the middle. And here Gensei going for a really well-timed counterattack, while Jaehoon's units were out of position basically, being dragged away by those vultures from Flash. And BrainGod does not have the units fight against those Dragoons, so now it's going to be entirely down to those Dragoons from Jaehoon, but Jaehoon is losing his Dragoons. Vultures are going down for BrainGod. BrainGod is actually going to be dying here. Great. It all came down to that beautiful move from Flash, locking Jaehoon inside of his base at the right exact timing that it was necessary. BrainGod trying to use his SCVs to fight up those Dragoons, but it is a done game. It is over. BrainGod and Jaehoon lose game number 3. And because they played the same matchup, I think we can now call it a 2-1 for Team Flash. And 1 win for Team BrainGod. And I gotta admit, it's really, really hectic. But the micro is pretty great. The moves are pretty great. And this is pretty much a style of fastest map that I am sure pretty much all of my viewers have never seen before. Because this is pretty much only the pros, the pro level players play fastest map in this specific manner. Because if you try to go for a very defensive build, you're going to lose. If you try to go for a very offensive build, you cannot keep up with their micro and their speed and their decision making. So it's just, this sets them apart. It looks very different from the style we're used to in, for example, the Starcraft World 2 vs 2 League, where a completely different style is played. So it's very different, looks very different, but it's hella exciting to watch. Alright, so there's more games in this lineup, and I'm gonna load up into game number 4. Alright, game number 4, countdown has started, and we have seen some slight adaptations being made by some players based on every single game. For example, in the first game, we saw Flash going for a little bit of a delayed gas. Then we saw BrainGod delay his gas a little bit and change the location of his barrack and apply the bunker knowledge that Flash used to keep his entrance safe, which more or less worked in the game after that. And we've seen Jaehoon go for a very fast cybernetic score with no forge, whereas in the first game they went for 3 gateways with a forge. And then Gensei adapted to that in the game following that by mirroring Jaehoon's build by going for a very fast cybernetic score without a forge and a delayed forge, which eventually wound up working out in their favor. So there's a lot of adaptations going on in these games by both players. They're never being stale, never being static. They're always being very dynamic players, adapting when they feel that something is off or something is superior to what they're already doing. So these players are somewhat evolving as they're playing. And just to point out who we are playing with, once again, Gensei on the yellow Protoss, teamed up with Flash on the gray Terran. I think that's dark gray or something. Red is piloted by BrainGod. And Gensei here trying to stop the completion of that barrack by focusing on the SCVs. But the barrack is going to be finishing up. He's got 2 SCVs there. Managed to keep that other SCV alive. It's on low HP, but it's still there. Barrack finishes, both SCVs on low HP. Probe is more or less untouched. Great micro going on here. And Marine is on the way. He's going to stay there until the Marine finishes, then he's going to pull away. Or just before the Marine finishes, so he can start scouting them over other locations of the map. And BrainGod is also teamed up with Jaehoon, who is here on the bottom side corner of the map, playing the Black Protoss. Black has, I think, has been discontinued on the most recent patch. So we won't be seeing that color anymore in the future in your own games. So a bunker coming out here in the choke for BrainGod. Flash is being aggressive this time around, because the distance towards BrainGod for both Gensei and Flash is smaller. So he forces the SCV off of the bunker. Marine's forced to pull away. So Marine's still chasing there. Now Flash's bunker is going to come down inside that choke, and the bunker that BrainGod is going to make is going to be going down. Now Marine is coming up. Marine is going to focus on the SCV. Going to take down the SCV, but the Marine gets focused by the Zealot. Zealot now chasing that away. The SCV also pulling back, so no completion of that bunker for BrainGod there. But now we have Jaehoon here going for the harass with that Zealot, and the Zealot is completely uncontested. Great pull, a great pylon by Gensei. Gensei now clipping into the Zealot to force it off of the workers. But a single probe eventually does wind up going down. Zealot is now locked in there. Zealot has nowhere to go. Keeps getting clipped by the probes. Great micro from Gensei there. Now BrainGod has found its way into Gensei's base. Gensei is 2 workers behind on Jaehoon now, because of that little sneak into the base. Both BrainGod and Flash are going for factories. Starports even for Flash. So that's another evolution in the build order there. But whether it's going to work out, I am not too sure. Because Gensei is losing more probes. She's getting harassed, but Molly pretty much does manage to fight off the attempts at damaging him by both BrainGod and Jaehoon. Great job there. Single probe there on the middle of the map. And 2 of these starports are about to be finishing up. Starport coming down for BrainGod as well. So both players are going for raids, I assume, or maybe a dropship. Go for dropship play and drop units over the hills. Because BrainGod has to go for a dropship because he got blocked in here. He cannot leave his base. Now they're walling him off, so vultures would be pretty much useless against these buildings because they don't deal damage against those buildings. And now it's up to Jaehoon to fight against both Gensei and Flash on the middle of the map here. But he's forced to pull back because there's more units out for Gensei than there are units out for Jaehoon. But Jaehoon now has Dragoons back on the way into the middle to reinforce those Dragoons already there. But he's going to have to pull off some amazing micro against these Vultures, Dragoons, and Zealots. Mines coming down from Flash into the chokehold there, which will function to keep Jaehoon inside of his base. Jaehoon now throwing down cannons defensively because he was anticipating an attack and an enter into his base but Flash and Gensei are not entering his base. But now we have here a very quick dropship from BrainGod, and he's going to plant mines inside of Gensei's base, and yes, there are the mines, so he's going to be keeping those Dragoons away. Now he's going to focus on the probes. A lot of probes have already gone down. He's already lost 5-6 probes there. Cannon does finish, but he's gonna lose at least 4 more probes. He's 17 probes behind on Jaehoon now. This is absolutely devastating. Gonna place more mines there on the corner of the map outside of the vision of the cannon. But now raids are coming in, and BrainGod is also being attacked here at the same time. He's got a tank there in the back, but he's pretty much already dying here because the tank is not gonna be able to fight this off. So another similar move from the from 2 games ago, where Flash walled off Jaehoon's units with the mines and then went for the counterattack on BrainGod, just exactly like this. And BrainGod is now going to roll over and die unless he can keep that bunker alive there. But the raids are very slowly going to be whittling down on this tank there. The tank, he's got no anti-air whatsoever. Great game plan from Flash there, going for the raids after the block, so he can focus on those tanks, knowing that there would most likely be no turrets, no detection out there. No anti-air out there for BrainGod, so BrainGod now rolling over and dying to this beautifully coordinated attack by Gensei and Flash. Gensei and Flash coming out on top once again. The score will be 3-1, but he is still alive. And the raid now, the energy is running out very slowly on those raids, and the bunker is still alive, but all the tanks there have gone down. No tanks for BrainGod there. BrainGod is very close to dying here. Ooh, beautiful mine triggering onto the SCVs there. Only 6 SCVs left for BrainGod. Tank finishes up. The tank's gonna go down to those raids and the Dragoon. There's a Vulture out there. Vulture lays a mine to keep those units away, but it's not gonna be enough. And the tank does go down eventually. Beautiful match here. And Jaehoon is now pushing out with that Observer. Is he gonna go for the counterattack? You could potentially turn this game around in his favor if he does manage to enter either Gensei's base right now or go for Flash. He can go for either players and pretty much finish them off, unless these cannons here in the back finish before Jaehoon reaches them. Jaehoon has a huge mass here, 107 supply against 45 supply from Gensei. That's all because so many of Gensei's probes went down the early game, but also because he lost so many Dragoons inside of BrainGod's base. So BrainGod rolling over and dying did manage to take a lot of Dragoons with him. And it looks like Gensei is going to be dying here because all his probes are dying here. His cannons have died as well. There are 2 tanks there in the back from Flash. But I think Jaehoon can focus on those tanks in the back there and get in there. Although this pylon here is making sure to keep those Dragoons away. Probes there are blocking extra tanks, but the tanks have gone down. And it looks like Gensei has died as well. So now it's just going to be a match between Flash and Jaehoon. Gensei has no probes left. He does have 83 minerals. But he can pretty much not afford to produce because he will be losing the probe immediately. A single Dragoon here on the other side of the map. There's a tank out, and the tank dies. And now it's turning into a match between Jaehoon and Flash, but Jaehoon has such a huge mass here, he can just micro his way into the base and focus on those tanks behind the buildings there, and he has managed to penetrate into the base of Flash. Flash does not have enough tanks, not have enough vultures. And actually, it looks like Jaehoon is managing to pull off the comeback here. Flash landed a couple of tanks on the hill there, but Jaehoon just moves away from the hill, out of range of those tanks. So the tanks on the hill are usually there. Flash is going to have to pick them up and land them inside his base. But Jaehoon has now managed to penetrate into between those factories, so every single tank is now going to finish inside of Flash's base. Is going to end up dying. Tank in the back there. 2 more tanks going to be dropped in the back there, but more units are regrouping with the units inside of Flash's base for Jaehoon. Jaehoon managed to penetrate in, and now he's got free fire on those SCVs. Zealots there walking onto the tanks, taking down those tanks, and it looks like it's done game. And Jaehoon manages to pull off the win because Gensei and Flash, it looks like they over-invested into going for BrainGod, but it all comes down to Gensei losing so many of his probes in the early stages of the game, which propelled Jaehoon forward ahead of him by such a significant degree that neither Flash nor Gensei could keep up. And Gensei pulls off pretty much the 2v1 win here after BrainGod got completely screwed over by a beautiful play, a beautiful coordinated play, and beautiful game plan from Gensei and Flash, but it did not account for Jaehoon managing to break out that quickly and having such a huge mass up. Yeah, that's game number 4. Score is 2-2. I thought it was going 3-1, but beautiful comeback from Jaehoon there. And let's load up game number 5. Alright, game number 5 between none other than Flash, who's playing the Sea and Terran once again on Terran. And he's partnered up with Gensei, the green Protoss here on the middle left of the map. They're up against BrainGod, who's playing the pink something Terran. I'm not sure what that color is. And this is Magenta. And that's Jaehoon. So we've got Jaehoon and BrainGod once again. So aside from the very first game where it was Gensei teamed up with BrainGod, so far in every single game following, it has been BrainGod and Jaehoon against Gensei and Flash. Score is 2-2 after a beautiful comeback win from Jaehoon, after an overinvestment into trying to kill and actually managing to kill BrainGod by Gensei and Flash, but then being unable to account for a counterattack from Jaehoon. That all worked out really nicely. It was a beautiful game to watch, actually. A lot of very high level smart micro moves and great spending, great everything overall. Really entertained by these matches. So once again, the very same. It just seems like this is the smartest thing to do. Build the barrack inside the choke there. I mean, I wouldn't advise you do this, because the amount of skill it takes to pull this off is pretty much, you have to be Korean pro level to pull this kind of stuff off successfully. That's why they're doing it so well. And why they're even doing it to begin with, because they have the micro macro skill and the awareness and multitasking to pretty much pull all of this off at the same time. So I don't advise you do this kind of stuff. But this is very interesting to watch. Both players have the Marines out, Marines moving out in the middle of the map. SCV scouting, probe scouting. SCV's gonna throw down some bunkers, most likely inside of their own choke. They're inside his own choke. Flash is being a bit more aggressive. He's gonna probably try to throw down a bunker somewhere else on the map. Gensei's Zealot is finished up, but the Zealot won't reach this bunker before the bunker finishes. So that bunker will be coming up for BrainGod. BrainGod will have that bunker up this time around. He won't get walled off, like in the previous game that eventually did set up the opportunity for Flash and Gensei to kill him. And then once again, very early Cybernetics Core coming out for just Jaehoon this time around. Gensei is going for a Forge. Not sure why he's going for the Forge if Jaehoon is going for the Cybernetics Core, because the Cybernetics Core is going to be winding up stronger for Jaehoon. But Gensei might be able to pick off a couple of probes here, which won't be happening to Gensei because he's got that cannon up there, which will protect him. No probe has gone down for Jaehoon, But actually, one probe went down there. Second probe is gonna go. No, the Zealot goes down before the probe goes down. But more Zealots are on the way, ready to infuse. He splits them up, which will cause Jaehoon to focus on just this. There's a bunker inside of the choke for Jaehoon as well. Brain now placing this barrack on the low ground to force Zealots to walk around instead of just being able to surround the bunker with ease. Another probe. No, probe kept safe once again. Now all the probes are safe behind the Zealot and the pylon, except for these probes mining gas. But Gensei decides to pull back in the middle of the map. Here Jaehoon sees the bunker, sees that he's walled off. Bunker gets protected by those Zealots, so Jaehoon cannot attack the bunker. Dragoons have finished up for Jaehoon now. Gensei now also has his own cybernetics core up. 3 Dragoons are on the way, adding on 3 more gateways even. Jaehoon has gone for a bigger gas build, but he's adding on gateways now. He'll have more Dragoons out on the map than Gensei, because Gensei cannot afford all those Dragoons with just a single gas. Now adding on 2 more gas, but we'll be seeing more Zealots from Gensei. BrainGod now getting a surround off on the bunker, but he cannot fight into the bunker because he's mostly got Marines and Vultures. Marines have gone down to the Vultures, but he does get a great surround off on those Vultures there. Vultures are going to go down. Jaehoon is going to go for the walkthrough. Not sure if that is the best choice, because he's going to wind up losing most of his Dragoons and most of his Zealots there, which will also expose BrainGod to small counterattacks from Gensei and Flash. Here, BrainGod has managed to pull ahead of Flash, having more Vultures inside of the base than Flash has inside of his own base, which means he can go for those SCVs. But Flash has already started a wall to protect his SCVs. Brain's Vultures have come out ahead, kills some SCVs, stops construction of 2 factories, kills 4 SCVs in total. So he is getting the most out of this attack and out of this aggression inside of Flash's base. More Vultures are on the way. Did he finish his mines already? I think he's going to put on mines somewhere on the map. He has his speed finished before Flash's speed finished. Brain went for speed first and mines second. Flash went for mines first, speed second. Bunker here is going to go down to the range that Jaehoon just finished on his Dragoons. Range is still on the way for Gensei. And now the mines are coming down for BrainGod, placing mines all around the middle of the map. But Gensei here has his Dragoons and Zealots ready to attack the bunker and walk into the base of BrainGod, but I don't think he'll be able to go deeper into the base of BrainGod, because BrainGod is now placing down mines. Mines are being placed inside of the entrance of Gensei's base as well, but mines are also being placed to keep these Dragoons contained when inside of Jaehoon's base on the other side of the map. And BrainGod now gonna pull back, but he's completely surrounded by Dragoons on both sides, so he's gonna lose a couple of those Vultures. Vultures are not that great against Dragoons, and here Flash is now penetrating deep into BrainGod's base. BrainGod is pulling his Vultures back closer towards his main command center, but those Vultures are now hammering away on those Vultures. No mines left on those Vultures. Now Flash is going to pull back towards the middle of the map and rendezvous with Gensei's units. BrainGod's units are still being microed here on the side of the map, placing down mines, trying to do something, but not managing to do all that much. At most, you'll be able to get a couple of these SCVs down here, or maybe it's just scouting. 7 factories for Flash there, 6 factories for BrainGod, so Flash does have a little bit more production capability. Even has 2 more SCVs than BrainGod does. Jaehoon and both Gensei have pretty much the exact same build. Both players have their observatories and their robotic facilities finished up. Now Jaehoon is cleaning out mines on the middle of the map because he has observer out before Gensei has his observer out. But Gensei does look to be a little bit bigger than Jaehoon now, because Jaehoon has lost more units than Gensei has. Now a fight is happening here on the other side of the map where Vultures are fighting against Vultures. BrainGod is being a little bit greedy, but now he's going to have to pull back behind those mines, place a couple of mines as well. Jaehoon is now flanked from the other side. Vultures against Vultures, Dragoons against Dragoons. Gensei does not have observers, but doesn't need observers because there's no mines in this area of the map. Jaehoon is getting surrounded here. Jaehoon is now a little bit bigger than Gensei is, and he's winning the fight here on the side. And now BrainGod has won the fight against Flash's Vultures as well, but Flash is now managing to penetrate through, getting behind those Dragoons and placing those mines there, which will delay Jaehoon just a little bit, but the observers will make it very easy to take down those mines. And Vulture, BrainGod now going for another counterattack on Flash, but Flash has tanks out. But BrainGod does not care. It's Vultures against Vultures. There's more Vultures than Vultures for Flash. But there are tanks, and those tanks are going to take care of those vultures very quickly. But this managed to get a couple of mines down, and these mines will explode on those tanks. But, oh, a single mine does get some damage up on those tanks. There's a little bit of advantage built there. Micro advantage, so to speak. And now, Gensei is going for the counterattack on BrainGod because BrainGod expanded all of his vultures. And Gensei has mines out now, but Jaehoon is getting a flank up on Gensei's units there. More mines being placed inside of the entrance of Gensei, but there's observers out. And Jaehoon now gets a great surround on Gensei's Dragoon. Gensei is being very, very aggressive here. Over-aggressive even. He's going to lose his entire master on the side, which will propel Jaehoon ahead over Gensei even more, even though Gensei does have more workers than Jaehoon. More Dragoons streaming out into the middle of the map. Oh, Jesus Christ, this is like the most hectic, action-packed game of non-stop fighting and building I've ever seen. Both players are doing so well and microing and spending at the same time. But this is so hard to keep track of, right? Vultures once again placing down mines, but Observer's ready to take down those mines. So Observer here spotting in the middle of the map. Fight happening here inside of Gensei's entrance, but Gensei holding out pretty well. Jaehoon has more units out than Gensei does though, because Gensei holds more units over the entirety of the game so far. Now there's tanks out here for Flash. Jaehoon is trying to get his units on top of those tanks, but the tanks are being protected quite well by those mines and by those vultures. Now he's pulling back. Gensei has finally managed to move out because this time around BrainGod and Jaehoon have chewed off more than they have bitten off more than they can chew. But Flash's units are lagging behind because they have to unsiege first. But Gensei is getting a great separation here. He's managing to split up BrainGod's units away from his base. BrainGod does not have tanks out. He's stuck to just vultures for this entire time. There's no tanks for BrainGod, which might actually cause the game to end here in favor of Flash and Gensei. Because I don't think BrainGod can survive this. He does have tanks on the way, but it's gonna take too long for those tanks to finish. Jaehoon has been contained here by all these mines and these tanks. And he's got a very small mass now. He's got a lot of zealots out. The Observer spotting the mines, but it looks like Flash is just gonna throw down more mines. And Gensei has managed to penetrate in between those factories so he can target fire on those tanks. Flash and Gensei and Flash are gonna be winning this one for sure. And this time around, Jaehoon is not gonna make a comeback and kill both Flash and Gensei. And they call GG on their Discord channels. And Flash and Gensei win game number 5. Score is 3-2. Jesus, this is pretty hard to keep track of all this happening at the same time. But this is very, as I've mentioned many times before, so exciting to watch and cast. It's difficult though, because it's non-stop talking, non-stop gibberish. Like I'm saying, there's a lot of gibberish as well. Anyway, all that aside, I'm gonna load up in the next game and keep bringing you all this goodness. Alright, game number 6 is on the way, and this time around we have the exact same teams once again. Flash on the Terran, BrainGod on the Terran. Oh wait, let me fix this. Right. Interface is fixed, so Flash, purple Terran, Gensei, blue Protoss, BrainGod, some pale blue, gray blue, I'm not sure. But once again, another Terran, Jaehoon on the yellow Protoss. And this time around, the spots are in favor of neither of these players. Terran's closest towards... Well, actually... Yeah, I think the spots are pretty even this time around. No big distances between these players. Both BrainGod and Flash starting out with the barracks in their entrances. 7-9 pylons for both Gensei and Jaehoon. And gonna throw down a single gateway and scout with the probe. Very early scout. But considering they're only going for 3 gateways, it's entirely understandable. Depots coming out for both the Terrans. Gas coming out for both the Terrans at the exact same time this time around. So you're gonna check. A little bit earlier for Gensei, for BrainGod than for Flash. And there comes gate number 2 and gate number 3 for both Jaehoon and... Oh, wait a second. Jaehoon is not going for the 3rd gateway, he's going for 2 gateways and a gas. Gensei went for 3 gateways. So once again, they're mixing it up just a little bit. I'm really curious to see how this is going to work out. Because Gensei will have more zealots out in the middle of the map, so technically he will have more offensive potential than Jaehoon. But how exactly it's all going to work out, I'm not too sure. Because Jaehoon definitely has a plan behind the reason why he's going for the 2 gateways into a cybernetics core. It did get scouted by Gensei, so Gensei now knows that there's a cybernetics core out for Jaehoon very early into the game. Gensei now throwing down his own cybernetics core. But there is still no 3rd gateway. He needs pylons, so pylons are coming out for him. And this zealot standing here because it sees it cannot go in. Well, it can go in, and it manages to go in. A little bit of a misplaced bunker for BrainGod there. Should have placed a little bit closer to the side there. And he's going to ignore. Oh, it was a mistake. He pulled back those marines by accident. Which means his single zealot now has it's free fire on those SCVs, but none of the SCVs go down. BrainGod manages to save them just in the nick of time. Great micro from both players there, splitting up at the exact same time that his micro filter is on the way. And here's a single zealot hammering away at Gensei's workers. I managed to pick up 2 or 3 probes. I think 2 probes there. 2.5 probe. Jaehoon is a little bit ahead of Gensei, so he has to kill 2 probes with that harass. Another zealot is entering the base. There's no cannon because it doesn't have a forge. There's still a single zealot here on the side that's going to be picking up a couple of those probes. Dragoons are out for Gensei. Dragoons are out for Jaehoon. Jaehoon still on 2 gateways, now making a robotic facility. Very, very early robotic facility. 4 factories out for Flash. And here, another probe went down for Gensei. And another probe went down for... No, actually didn't get a single probe with that vulture. So the first vulture for BrainGod does not yield any results. Doesn't gain any advantage. But Flash is also ahead of BrainGod here in SCV count. So it does look like BrainGod lost a little bit of worker production time there and getting harassed by Gensei. But it all equalizes in the fact that Jaehoon is ahead of Gensei. Jaehoon now pulling back, getting zoned off by those units from Gensei because Gensei had more production capability. He's now propelled himself ahead over Jaehoon. Jaehoon now adding on 2 more gateways. Vultures out in the middle of the map. He's almost got mines finished. And it looks like siege mode is on the way for Flash. Flash doesn't have mines, I assume, because otherwise it would be finishing right about now. So no mines for Flash. Fight is breaking out on the middle here. Focusing on those zealots' mines, trying to go down, but mines being shut down by the vultures. Now the dragoons are dealing damage on those dragoons, and the zealots microing backwards. More vultures are reinforcing his tank there in the back. Siege mode hasn't finished yet. Tank is very close to dying, but the tank is staying safe in the back there. Siege mode has finished. Tank now establishes dominance behind the wall of protection of those dragoons. Great micro from both these players. Great coordination also. So now that Gensei and Flash have control over the middle of the map, they can slowly start pushing their advantage up until they hit this wall of vultures there. And BrainGod is moving himself around the western side of the middle of the map. But Flash at the same time is advancing. The mines have been cleared out by those dragoons and zealots there. Great movement. And BrainGod now going for the counterattack on Flash. Because he knows that all Flash's units are out in the middle of the map. And Flash did not notice. Flash now notices though, because those tanks that were trying to move out did see those vultures and is placing mines around those tanks. But the mines did not get triggered. Mines got triggered. Took down the tank, took down the second tank. And now it means that Flash's base is completely exposed to those vultures, but Flash has managed to pull back all of his tanks and his vultures back to his base. But BrainGod has managed to get it overhand here. Flash started building a wall, but the wall did not finish. And now a lot of Flash's SCVs are going to go down. Maybe even some splash damage on his own SCVs there. Pulls his SCVs off his minerals. Call of 6 SCVs or so went down there. I thought he'd get more, but oh, another 2 have gone down. So now the game still looks to be in favor of... Oh wait, That's a Reaver drop. Reaver drop on Flash. Jaehoon went for a very fast Reaver drop, which is the reason why he went for the build that he did. And he gets a beautiful exploding Scarab off on those SCVs. A lot of SCVs have gone down. Only 14 SCVs left for Flash. There's no anti-air here. More vultures are streaming into the base. Placing mines next to those tanks. Tanks going to go down to the mines, exploding. Reaver lands next to the mine. Next to the tank. And another great shot coming down. Almost scared. Only 8 SCVs left. 7 SCVs, 6 SCVs. And BrainGod is there left to finish off Flash. Flash has died. Flash is not going to make a comeback from this one. BrainGod placing mines around those factories to make sure that the tanks that are spawning are going to be dying. The shuttle here went down to the Dragoons. Gensei stayed aware. But now, Gensei and Flash are going for the counterattack because they have tanks. And BrainGod also has tanks. Tanks are in the back there. But the tanks might not be protected well enough. But the tanks are protected well enough behind that entire line of buildings there. Tank there. But I don't think Gensei and Flash will be able to do that much damage to BrainGod there, because units are coming out for Jaehoon as well to flank those Dragoons in the middle of his base. But another set of units is coming out for Gensei's style to flank the Dragoons that Jaehoon was flanking Gensei's Dragoons with. So it's a double. It's a flank inside a flank, but flanking the flank will not wind up doing all that much because BrainGod does have his tanks out, and his tanks are amazing against those Dragoons. Not even sieging them up, it's just letting them push out of the base. A couple of mines being placed to make sure that Gensei is not sending out a second stream of units. Gensei does have an observer now. Flash somehow, miracle above miracle, manages to survive. Oh, he calls GG, leaves the game, it's over. Because he knows he cannot move his tank, because his tank will instantly die. And Gensei also taps out. So now the score is back to 3-3. And it actually means that this best of 7 will be played to 7 games. And this was a game with all kinds of turnarounds that I never expected to be happening. Jesus. Yep, alright, let's immediately go into game number 7 and not talk too much about this game. Just leave you to your own thoughts, to your own interpretations. And let's get the last game, game number 7, loaded up. And game number 7 has finished its countdown and has now officially started. And let's see what the configuration is this time around. We got Flash on the yellow Terran, and he is playing with Jaehoon again, who's playing the green Protoss. Gensei is on the magenta Protoss on the top side of the map, whereas we have BrainGod on the... This is the teal Terran. This is definitely teal, not cyan, this is teal. So they've switched up their races once again. But it's still Team Braingod against Team Flash, because they are both the consistent factors that have never teamed up. So Team Braingod against Team Flash scored 3-3. And I said it was a best of 7. But actually, there's still more replays after this one. So this is probably a best of 9. Sorry for saying it was a best of 7, but, you know, forgive me for that one. So this time, things are going a little bit differently. The barrack for BrainGod has been delayed a little bit. The barrack for Flash is out way earlier. Their gases, though, are synchronized. Actually, the gas for BrainGod is out way earlier than the gas for Flash. But Flash will have more Marines out earlier out in the map. So this is kind of like BrainGod is going for an older build for fast factories, where you build 2 factories at the same time. Whereas Flash is going for a single factory or something. Not too sure. But he's going for a more Marine-focused build, where you can use your 1 barrack Marine pump with the SCV to build bunkers, as we've seen this entire game. Whereas BrainGod will not have that ability, because his Marines are out way later. He'll have one Marine against 3 Marines out on the map, as opposed to Flash, who will have 3. And Jaehoon starting off with the very early gas once again. Gensei going for the early forge. Which also means that Jaehoon is once again going for the cybernetics core somewhere around here. Whereas Gensei cannot afford to go for the very early cybernetics core, because that would just be plain inefficient. Now he's even making a nice wall around his main here, making sure that Flash's units, mostly his vultures later in the game, will not be able to come out there. So 3 factories coming out for Brain. 2 factories coming out for Flash, which is mostly the main difference between these two builds. One allows you 2 factories, one allows you 3 factories. But the other one allows you to contain your opponent with that bunker and the Marines, because there's only 1 Marine out for BrainGod, against 3 Marines out for Flash. Gensei moving out into the middle of the map, trying to get some harass down on Flash to retaliate for getting that bunker out here, which leaves his base unprotected. But a Vulture is on the way. Vulture is about to finish. Vulture will finish about the same time that the Zealots reach this point here. Jaehoon's Zealots are also chasing those Zealots. But Gensei will probably get a couple of shots off on some Marines, on some SCVs. Splitting up, single Zealot going for the Vultures, making sure that Flash has to keep microing that Vulture, while also microing his SCVs. Single SCV has gone down. No second SCV has gone down. Second SCV actually did go down. Third SCV went down. No number 4 went down. And now that means that there's more Zealots out on the map for Jaehoon than there are Zealots out on the map for Gensei. But Gensei did manage to get himself an advantage. But Gensei is going very, very defensive here because he knows that BrainGod has been blocked off by this depot and this bunker, meaning his Vultures cannot leave his base because all that Flash has to do is make another building here. And those Vultures are contained. Now we have Jaehoon going for an offensive move, but considering there's a bunker there with Marines in it and there's no Dragoon range for Jaehoon just yet, Jaehoon is gonna wait for those Zealots to regroup with the Dragoons, and now he's going to go for the attack. He's just focusing on the bunker. SCV cancels the depot a little bit late to repair the bunker, which now means that Jaehoon has gotten the overhand over BrainGod, but BrainGod finishes his mines just in time to keep those Dragoons from entering his base. Great timing. And there's a starport out. Very quick starport. Flash also has 2 starports, but he's going for raids, whereas BrainGod is going for a dropship. Because both players know that because BrainGod has been contained, he has to go for dropships to keep influencing the map. Whereas Flash is probably going for a raid so he can snipe those dropships mid-air before they can land units at crucial locations on the map. And Gensei, on the other hand, will most likely go for Templars, so you can start dropping either Jaehoon or Flash. Jaehoon, having gone for his Dragoon heavy build, means that he is a little bit delayed as compared to Gensei on his attack, because he spent more gas on those Dragoons. BrainGod trying to land Vultures inside of Jaehoon's base to land mines and get control, or just gets a degree of control over Jaehoon's base. Finds a spot, will lay those mines in the entrance there, which will force Jaehoon to get an observatory, which he is making. And there's an observatory coming out. No observatory coming out for Gensei. Gensei is going to be planning to just play from the confines of his base, blocked in by Flash's mines. Flash now has raids out on the map. Total of 3 raids are out on the map. More raids are on the way. Now he's getting siege mode as well. Wait, no, that's speed. Getting siege tanks as well. But I don't think he has siege mode just yet. And here we see the strength of those raids. You can now free fire on those dropships. You can even cloak up and start focusing on those SCVs as he's going to go down. I'm not sure how many he can kill, but he's already killed a couple of them. He's now 5 SCVs ahead, and there a dropship spawns. Before the dropship can get away, he focuses on it and takes it down. Gensei trying to be offensive here, but he's noticed that Gensei has a lot of cannons, so he cannot advance deeper into that base. BrainGod has landed a couple of units inside of Jaehoon's base, but Jaehoon has taken it down with his Dragoons, and while the energy on the raids is running out, he micros it backwards a little bit further away, forcing those Marines to leave the bunkers. But it looks like this is a done game, in my opinion, because BrainGod has just lost so many units. But there's Dark Templars out for Gensei. BrainGod, however, does have turrets, but this turret's only covering the backside of his base. And he has mines as well, so he can start placing mines. And here's a tank drop coming out. And he gets 1 tank on the low ground. Is he going to get a shot off on those SCVs? He doesn't get a shot off on the SCVs. At the same time, Gensei has managed to enter the base and take down the turret there. And this turret still, however, does cover those SCVs. But Gensei now has free fire on this SCV. If he keeps this Dark Templar just out of range of that, and a turret here is finished, so that means, oh, so much is going on at the same time. Gensei is dying to these Dragoons from Jaehoon. At the same time, Flash is losing SCVs to the Dark Templars. But I think that Jaehoon will be able to kill Gensei here with these Dragoons because he's an observer there, so the Dark Templars will not be able to fight him off. Raids are here flying all over the map, looking for dropships to kill. And it looks like he did manage to kill the Dark Templar there, making another turret right next to the other turret, which effectively shuts down Gensei's game plan of using his Dark Templars to harass and deal damage to Flash. Jaehoon has pretty much a superior game plan from both Flash and Jaehoon here, that neither BrainGod nor Gensei can really formulate a good answer to. But now BrainGod going for the tank drop, but the tank dies before it gets a shot off on those probes. Probes have been sent to safety. He does get another shot off on another set of probes, but not a set of probes he wanted to hit. And the tank drop has been effectively shut down. BrainGod is still very small, and there's Wraith flying around the outside corners of his map, the outside edges of his base, I mean, firing on units. And Gensei calls GG in Discord, taps out, and that means it's now 4-3 for Flash and Gensei. Flash, for just Flash, because Jaehoon and Gensei have been switching around partners. So Team Braingod, 3 wins. Team Flash, 4 wins. Absolutely insane game plan from Flash and Jaehoon. Gensei and BrainGod just completely caught off guard by how this proceeded and how this played out. Great game, great game. So let's go into the next one. Game number 8 in this apparently best of 9 series between none other than Flash, who has partnered up with either Gensei or Jaehoon, against Team BraingOD, who's partnered up with either Flash or, Jaehoon or Gensei. This time around, we're back to Gensei and BraingOD on the same team, and Flash and Jaehoon on the same team. Flash is the purple Terran, Jaehoon is the pale yellow, not too sure what that is. And the Cyan Protoss is played by Gensei, and we have the gray Terran played by BraingOD once again. So the score 4-3, and some really interesting build orders and strategies from both players. I've pretty much seen no micro mistakes from either of these players. I mean, I've seen a couple of them, but given the amount of micro, like let's say the amount of micro is 500, I've only seen 5 out of those 500 being mistakes. So really solid gameplay, given that all these players are pretty much at the top of their game, at the top of the echelons, like Flash, the best low map player or the normal map player in the world. BraingOD considered to be the best 1 versus 1 in team player for fastest map, although it hasn't always worked out for him in this series specifically. Flash, apparently an absolutely phenomenal team player on fastest as well, same for Jaehoon and Gensei. So this is pretty much the top of the top playing against the top of the top on for fastest map, that is. And Gensei going for a very interesting build, effectively building a wall for his front with his gateways, but also shortening the distance towards his opponent's bases by placing his gateways closer to the middle of the map. This is basically a proxy gateway build. And BraingOD going for 2 barracks, 1 barrack placed on the side there, up against a single barrack 2 factory build from Flash. Really curious to see if this 2 barrack build will yield any fruits, or if it's going to fall flat and pretty much just produce rotten apples. First zealot out for Gensei. First zealot for Jaehoon was out a little bit earlier because the gateways finished a little bit earlier. But Gensei does have a second zealot out before Jaehoon has a second zealot out. But Jaehoon does have a row of 3 zealots soon to be finishing up. Probe gets sent back to the base. Marines here. More Marines for BraingOD than Flash has Marines. Great micro there, keeping those Marines alive. Single Marine has gone down for Flash. Flash now pulling back towards his main, building a bunker at his main, but his factory is finished. There's also a zealot in the mix there. 4 Marines against a bunker Bunker! All the Marines have gone down there. So that means that there is a bunker, but there's nothing inside the bunker. And now Flash pulling his SCVs off of his minerals to start taking care of this worker here on the side. And he does manage to take down all the SCVs, and the Marines now get surrounded by both SCVs and Zealots. Jaehoon is focusing on the bunker first. Vulture finishes as well. There's still a single Zealot here in the mix. There's no Marines inside of the bunker, but the Zealot gets tripping out. Tries to go for the Vulture, but the Vulture pulls back. Great micro from both players. Still 2 Marines are in the top side. Now more Zealots are coming in from Gensei into the middle of the map, into the middle of the base of Flash, but Flash and Jaehoon manage to fight it off just perfectly. 3 Zealots here on the side trying to go for the probe harass on Jaehoon. Jaehoon has lost a single probe so far in this match. And no bunkers for BrainGod just yet. He has finished neither his factories, which seems like a really bad situation here because the fact that Marines don't do that great against Vulture. Ooh, that's a little bit of control mistake from Flash. He just end up taking a single Marine, maybe 2 Marines, but he also loses both of the Vultures, but more Vultures are already on the way. Gensei managed to kill 2 more probes of Jaehoon, but Jaehoon has more units out in the middle of on the map now. And Gensei has it because Gensei has been losing pretty much all of his units, which means he does have an advantage over Gensei now, as we can see in the supply. But despite having 4 less probes on his minerals, he still has the same amount of supply. It means about 2 more Zealots out on the map for Jaehoon. And Gensei gets himself in a pretty nasty situation here because all of his Dragoons get spawned on the wrong side of his gateways. And those Vultures are taking great care of those Zealots in between those gateways. Now, Jaehoon is penetrating into between, and he gets past the gateways, so the wall has failed. And this game is over. I'm calling it right now. This game is over here. Maybe I'm calling it a bit prematurely, but I just don't see a way for Gensei to make a comeback after losing these 3 gateways. He lost his production facility, he's lost the pylon there. He's making cannons near his main, but his cannons have not finished. These Zealots will meet those cannons before the cannons can finish. Gensei pulls off his probes, but putting his probes in danger, trying to protect those cannons. But Jaehoon managed to get in between those pylons, gets right on top of the cannons, and this is the end of Gensei. Gensei is losing his cannons to cancel them. 2 cannons almost finished, but now his probes are being the target of those Zealots. Gensei is dead. Dragoons here hammering away at the front of BrainGod. And the plan that both Gensei and BrainGod had has effectively flunked, yielded no fruits, just put them at a disadvantage over Flash and Jaehoon. I can understand the thought process behind it because they tried to cut off Flash before Flash could get his Vultures out on the map. Tried to deal so much damage to Flash that he would fall behind, but instead it falls flat by just a hair's width. If that bunker here had finished, Flash would have been done for, but he managed to kill those SCVs just in time. And now it is BrainGod's turn to roll over and die. See the aggression from both Jaehoon and Flash. Still a couple of Vultures out in the middle of the map, still a couple of Dragoons out here on the middle of the map, chasing those Dragoons around. Fight is happening here in the middle of the map, Vultures against Vultures. BrainGod has a lot of Vultures, more Vultures than Flash has, because Flash has been losing a lot of his Vultures, but there's a lot of Dragoons there in the mix as well, and Vultures don't do great against Dragoons. Dragoons pushing back those Vultures. This single Dragoon here from Gensei gets cut out by those Vultures, has gone down. BrainGod now placing down a huge amount of mines trying to keep those Dragoons away. But yeah, Jaehoon is just gonna take his time there. BrainGod is gonna try to find a way in, but he rides over a couple of mines, which means he will get cut out by these Vultures and the Dragoon there. And he just gets some damage down on those Vultures. He's got more Vultures. No, he now has less Vultures because, alright, both Flash and Gensei and BrainGod call the GG. And Team Flash wins this best of 9, 5-3 over Team BrainGod. And was a sweaty as hell series. And it's really interesting to see all these players trying out small variations of their builds and how these very small, tiny variations of their builds and game plans can have such drastic effects and influences on the course and the trajectory of the game, how it progresses. And I've seen a lot of Korean 2vs2 fast map games like this. I mean, played with these builds like the fast Vultures, the 3 gateways, but I've never seen all these slight variations before. Like, it's as if the meta somewhat evolved in this series itself. And I can totally see why they go for all these slight variations, because you're always trying to catch your opponent off guard in some way, one or another, gain a small advantage. Sometimes it works, sometimes it fails. And we've seen it both fail and succeed in the series, where slight variations and mix-ups either yielded results or just they dug their own graves. But all in all, a very exciting, absolutely insanely high level 2 versus 2 between Flash, Jaehoon, Gensei aka Minchul, and BrainGod, who is also, I should have mentioned this at the start of the video, he is a semi-pro player, CKH. C.KH. He played had a couple of onstage appearances in some pro tournaments in Korea. So he's a very high level player himself, and he's become one of the best fast map players in the world after his very short semi-pro career. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this entire series. I sure enjoyed it, and I'll probably throw in another 2 versus 2 series sometime in the near future. It's just a 1 versus 1 game is way easier to cast than a 2 versus 2 game like this is, because this is very taxing. It's just like non-stop talking, trying to keep track of everything going around and happening. And I'm sure I've said a lot of nonsensical things as well, but that's a first time for a lot of things, and it was my first time casting a 2 versus 2. Hope you enjoyed it. Come back for the next time, and have a good day.